whether it is on the part of a co-wife, whether it is on the part of the husband. Somebody is allowing some negative action to get into them and speak life into that, and then it goes off into their marriage. But a co-wife can't come into an individual marriage because we're monogamously married to the same man and wreck that thing. Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Fatimah, Coach Fatimah, 1/3 of Outstanding Personal Relationships and co-author of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. Now, in this video, I want to tackle a couple of topics surrounding 3 reasons why you may not like your co-wife or you don't like your co-wife. Now, we know there might be bad blood, bad history, so I do want to pay some attention to that fact in some cases. There may be a lot of reasons why all co-wives do not get along. They don't have to necessarily be friends or connect with one another. I want to just make that disclaimer. However, they don't have to be sworn enemies or going to war with one another, and they should never be physical with one another. Let's avoid that at all costs. Now, with that being said, I do want to put something on the end of there because I know some women have attacked physically their co-wife, and you have every right to defend yourself. If somebody come up and act like they're gonna hit me, I'm gonna defend myself. I'm not gonna stand there and let them hit me. So I do understand that it has happened. I remember early on in polygyny, I heard a story that happened actually within a community where the sister was praying and one just jumped right on her. Now that does happen. Prior to that incident, there were no ill words. There was no fight. There was nothing. And that is one of the first polygyny horror stories that I specifically heard. And I really did not expect it because I would never think to do something like that. Just because my husband married again, I would never think to put my hands on someone else for a choice that he made. That's how I am. I just wouldn't do it. Now, there could be a multitude of reasons, again, why one co-wife might not like another co-wife, but I'm going to get into very quickly some of the core reasons. One of the main reasons is associating her with being a side chick, which is directly assassinating your marriage, especially if you know this is an option for your husband, because it places you in the shoes of a woman that has been cheated on. Now, I'm a practicing Muslim for the past 28 years, so I didn't have an issue with polygyny. I just had an issue with the fact of, how is this going to work? How is this going to, how is it going to be practical for our family? Does he have the ability to do it? Is it going to let me know he has the ability to do it? All these different things. So, and I was very young when I got married. And I'm a mother of 7 children. So I've been here a while. And I was transitioning into being a wife and being a mother, being a new Muslim, dealing with a major death of my grandfather, all in the same year, within months of these different really monumental events in my life as someone that was young. And I just knew I didn't want whatever it was my parents and my grandparents had, because it ended in divorces. So that's the road I was on. So with that, I digress. However, associating this wife, because I like to give respect where it's due. So not looking at her as a side chick allows you the ability to not feel cheated on. So people go, oh, thoughts are things. Yeah, thoughts are things. And whatever you think matters because your brain is always listening to what you think about what's going on in your life. So when I gave honor to the title of, this is my co-wife, never said baby mama, side chick, these really horrible terms to use against one's co-wife. I knew that once I placed honor in my heart for the continuation of marriage and for another woman to have the label as wife, then that mattered to my healing. I said, well, I'm not going to call her. And then if anybody else calls her co-wife or baby mama, because they've tried it. They've tried it. I said, oh, no. We don't do that. We don't do that. I don't care if they thought it was me and that other me. Don't do it. I don't care if they thought when I said it, Muslims don't do it, or my husband and I and our family doesn't do that, or my co-wife and I don't talk like that. Whatever they want to associate it with, that's fine. But what we're not going to do is say side chick baby mama for sequence. Because she came behind you, she's not legal, she's up. Negative people are always going to have a problem with every solution. That's what they do. That's their jam. That's their attribute. So if you say, well, not a side chick, well, that's his other baby mama. Not baby mama. We're wives. That's my co-wife. And that'll mess them up enough when they hear that. Oh, yes, I do. You don't have to be buddy or besties with someone that is your co-wife in order to give them the honor that they deserve. Because that's what this is about. It's about honoring us as wives by using the proper terminology. Another thing that's really major is assuming so much of your co-wife. Assuming that she's a homewrecker, assuming that she wants to destroy your family, assuming that she doesn't have a life or story of her own or trauma of her own, or this journey's been so easy for her. She knew what this was. There's so much assumption, and those assumptions can hurt you and any potential relationship you want to have with your co-wife, or even if you just lack the respect, it's going to eat away at it. So if you go, I don't want to respect her so much, I want to respect their marriage so much, but I can't get past the fact that I know that she's a homewrecker. Nobody can wreck your marriage but you and your spouse, you and your husband, you and your wife. No one else has the power to do that, because if you think about it, even if that's your co-wife's best, biggest, greatest desire, she does not have the power. Someone has to say, okay, I'm going to allow this information to destroy my marriage. I'm going to allow this action to get in here and wiggle its way within my marriage. I got to allow that. Whether it is on the part of a co-wife, whether it is on the part of the husband. Somebody is allowing some negative action to get into them and speak life into that, and then it goes off into their marriage. But a co-wife can't come into an individual marriage because we're monogamously married to the same man and wreck that thing. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. I'm Coach Fatimah, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships. And I'm here to talk to you about the Nourishing Fulfillment Counseling Program. What I do is help women from all walks of life obtain information in the areas of relationship wellness, emotional resilience, self-confidence, and inner discovery for best results for their future success. Growth is about implementation for best practices, for best results for your future. So the Nourishing Fulfillment Counseling Program is here for you to help you kind of weed through some of those negative thoughts of self-limiting beliefs so that you can move forward and attain your goals so that you live a truly fulfilling life. So if you want to join me for my Nourishing Fulfillment Counseling Program, be sure that you visit me at CoachFatimah.com for details and start your Nourishing Fulfillment Counseling session today. I'll see you and I look forward to working with you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. So if the husband has to go, look, I got to figure out who's telling the truth or what's going on here. I have to weigh some options. I have to practice proper judgment and not get wrapped up in the emotion of this thing. And I got to deal with some logic. They're not the only ones that have to do that, but they are the common denominator because the men practice polygyny, not the women. So that's important to not assume. I assumed a lot of my co-wife until I talked to her. I had to ask her about herself. And just like anybody else, I had to get to know her. And she was just fine with it. And she said whatever she needed to say. She told me about her upbringing, her background, why she wanted to be in polygyny, even why she wanted to practice polygyny, well, be a co-wife in the family that we had already established. So that mattered. That story helped. That story healed. That story was so powerful, and it still is to this day, and it's still helping women to understand some of the world of a subsequent wife. Just getting to know some background, just understanding a perspective that is not our own is important. But if we're not willing to hear it, then we got to be mad at us if we don't want to hear it. And it's like, I can offer some answers. This is not what you think. This is how it happened for me. That's what I needed to hear. And no amount of me asking Coach Nazir was necessarily going to get me there, because he had some answers, but he couldn't answer me like she needed to. Some of the questions I had were for the person that lived her life, which is my co-wife. It wasn't him. You know, he could answer some things, but he's going to answer him like a man is going to answer him. He's going to answer him like a husband is going to answer him. He's going to answer him like a provider and all these different things like that. I needed the answers from the person that lived that actual life, that walked in those footsteps and could tell me their challenges and go into depth about it. People have asked me, for example, so many times, why did he do that? Why? And a lot of these people were female relatives of his. And I said, you know what? You got his number, don't you? Yeah, I got his number. I said, you know what you could do? You can ask him. Oh, no, I don't need to call. Yeah, I think you need to call him, because what's happening is you're asking questions to Fatimah that are designed for Nazir. That's what's happening. And I'm not equipped to answer them. We could both sit here and assume and guess and try to figure it out between each other. Honey, we won't come up with a better answer than he will. I promise you that on my soul, we won't. And some of his aunts talked to him, and his grandmother, and whatever the case, his mother, whatever. However brief, however long-winded anyone got, that was for him to do. So it didn't make, it made sense to ask my co-wife questions that were designed for her, that only she and her expertise on how she's lived her life could answer, right? I could have got some general answers from our husband, but why? She's right there. Ask her instead of assume. Now, maybe everybody's not ready for that. This did not happen overnight. Please do not compare our year 13 in polygyny, if I could talk, to your year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever the case may be. We've been doing this a long time, and it has not been easy, but it is not something that's impossible. Now, the third thing is there could be a genuine miscommunication. It could be miscommunication in information. If you're pulling information from outside sources that are not co-wives, that are not even the husband of the 2 or 3 or 4 women, because in Islam there's up to 4, then there's a problem. That's problematic. So that's why I said I was gathering information, but there were specific things I need to gather from my own co-wife and not our husband. And no disrespect to him at all. He did the best he could with his answers. And he was pretty accurate for the most part. But to dig deep and go 10 levels down is something that my co-wife had to do. And it was really a situation where we sat and kind of talked, and we really took the label of wife away in that moment and went, okay, let me get to know you woman to woman. Because if we sit too long in wife, then it's like, well, I did it, I did this, I did that. It becomes this thing where it can be kind of competitive, or it can diminish the other wife. It can go left instead of going right. So we wanted it to be the right conversation at the right time in a good environment. We were outside, we were eating, and there wasn't a bunch of people around us like at our community masjid. There weren't a bunch of eyewitnesses. We didn't want any of that. And we didn't talk about our husband. We talked about how we were raised, what commonalities we had, what were some of our challenges, how we both have been ostracized in different ways, because I say it all the time and I mean it. She was the dummy that married him, mama the dummy that stayed with him. That's how people kind of looked at it. You're both dummies, just in different ways, And, I don't really care about what people think about me. I really don't. I absolutely do not care. And because they're going to think what they're going to think anyway. They don't have to like me. I like me. And matter of fact, I love myself, not to be arrogant, but it took me a long time coming from a situation where I was abandoned, and my parents didn't raise me. So I had these abandonment issues, and it took me some years to love myself. And now that I do, I'm not going to apologize for that. And for those people that think I shouldn't, they need to get a hobby and not be over here hating on us or whatever the case may be. Go work on yourself, because so much of this work has to do with self-work. And that is the point of this entire video, is understanding that there's many assumptions that are being made, miscommunication and information, kicking that side chick label completely to the curb, because it's about what we're saying to ourselves, about our marriages, about our co-wives, about our family, about our children, the people that are in our day-to-day real lives. What are we saying to ourselves about these people? You know, so this video is important because it could be so many things that can be avoided. There's so many actions that don't need our reaction. They need our response, because there's a difference, right? There's first responders, not first reactors. They can't come there in reaction mode. They have to come there responsive to any fire, to any car crash, to anything like that. So this is very important to understand, that let's look inside first and see if these things are the cause as to why we may not or don't ever like our co-wife. So looking inside yourself matters. So with that, I hope you guys got some gems from this video. If you're not subscribed to our channel, why not? Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and share this video, because sharing is caring. And we're going to put in the comments, stop assuming. Okay, if you made it this far in the video. If you don't follow us on our socials, on IG, we're Outstanding Personal. No, on IG, we're Outstanding Relationships. And on YouTube and Facebook, we're Outstanding Personal Relationships. And make sure you head on over to our OPR Education Campus at oprcampus.com for details, or you can click the link in the description box below. With that, I'm going to leave you guys with some GLC. Make sure you're growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm Coach Fatimah. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.